Look, I'm gonna be straight with you. I'm an adult film actor. Excuse me?
C'est la grosse crise entre mes parents.
Is this quite difficult for you?
They're obviously dealing with this unimaginable loss.
Hello, and thanks for joining us for our weekly film show with our critic Lisa Nesselson and I. Hello, Lisa.
Hello, Eve.
Now, we're starting with a story about a washed-up porn star from indie powerhouse director Sean Baker. He's known for his movies about the often impoverished members of the American underclass. Shot on an iPhone, Tangerine, centred on black transgender sex workers, while Oscar nominee The Florida Project offered a look at life living in a motel. Tell us about Red Rocket.
Well, this is a rough and tumble portrait of a randy, rudderless guy who just can't help lying to keep the leaky boat of his life afloat. Now, if you're in a leaky boat, you have to figure out how to keep rowing forward while also trying to get the bilge out. And I say our protagonist actually adds bilge. Projecting hyper, irrepressible, sinewy oomph, Simon Rex, a television VJ and himself a one-time porn actor, absolutely nails the rascally exuberance of mostly despicable protagonist Mikey Saber. Now, if this guy could just channel his energy, his life would probably improve in longer increments than, say, 5 minutes at a time.
Okay, well, our Olivia Salazar-Winspear spoke to the director at the Cannes Film Festival where the film was in competition. She asked him about the lead character, Mike, and his use of wit, charm, and persuasion to get ahead.
For what he does for his livelihood, is he essentially has to use those traits in order to get what he wants. It all stems back to actually some archetypes that I met while doing research in the adult film world, and they all seem to have those exact characteristics. And it's what basically got them where they are. You know, they have to basically live off of the women in the adult film industry. So they have to win them over with charm, with appeal. And I think they actually believe it all themselves. They believe their own hype. They're literally in major self-denial. But they're always, you know, in their head, they're the king of the castle. In their head, they are the champions. So that's what makes this character so interesting in my eyes. And the fact that Simon was able to just really I feel, pull this off like no other actor could. He completely rides that line and strikes that balance where, yeah, we're looking at him and he's doing some pretty unethical things and he's pretty disgusting. Well, you know, I'm not gonna, that's up to the audience to make that judgment, but he's also extremely appealing and funny, and we're with him, hopefully, the audience is with him throughout the entire ride, no matter what.
God damn it.
I don't want to be here, all right? This is embarrassing.
Well, I don't want you
think
here
I want to show up
either.
like this? I got my ass f***ing kicked. I just need a place to crash. Why can't you
What,
be
you're
cool?
not
Just
what does it look like, a hotel?
Really? It's like that?
Can you get off the property, please?
Why? What are you gonna f***ing do? Really?
What,
You're
you
not
want,
gonna let,
oh, you
really?
want me to
You're
call
gonna
the
act...
cops? I'll call the cops.
Don't.
No, I'm calling the cops. 9, 8, 7, faster.
I'm technically off the property, so you can't call the cops because I'm on public land, respecting your boundaries.
Can you keep it down?
Can you come over here so I don't have to project my voice, please?
Well, despite the bleeping subject matter, the critical response has been mostly positive for Red Rocket.
Absolutely. You can't make a wholesome movie out of porn and drug dealing and an older man hitting on a teenager, but you can capture an environment, which Baker does without judging or preaching. I don't particularly like this movie, but I admire the director because Sean Baker is a filmmaker through and through. As you said, he was among the first directors to prove that you can make a feature film with just a few iPhones. That was the transgender sex worker comedy Tangerine. He gets good performances out of non-professionals in this, as he did in that and in the Florida Project, set in the motels not far from Disneyland. Red Rocket was shot on 16mm film, which in itself I think is cause for celebration. Baker's work ethic proves that if a talented person can tell stories with an iPhone or on 16mm cameras and get the result accepted into the world's top film festivals, then we may live in a time of insane wealth disparity, but the playing field for making movies is more level than it has ever been.
Okay. Well, out this week in France is the portrait of a 13-year-old girl who unravels when her parents split up. Tell us about Petite Solange.
Well, as I like to mention every chance I get, France has more professionally active women film directors than any other country does. Chances are you've never heard of Axelle Robert, whose fourth film this is as writer and director. Now, her first three are deft, bittersweet portraits, engaging stories about people buffeted by life's curveballs. She made The Wahlberg Family in 2009 about a man who is a local public figure but devoted to his immediate family in an outsized way. Tirez la langue, Mademoiselle, Miss and the Doctors in 2013, an incredibly affecting story of brothers who are both doctors and both fall for the mother of one of their very young patients. And La Prunelle de mes yeux, The Apple of My Eye, in 2016 about a man who pretends to be blind to court a woman who really is blind. And now this, the carefully observed story of a smart and sensitive 13-year-old whose life is thrown for a loop when her beloved parents decide to separate.
Okay, well, let's take a look at Petite Solange, shot in the French city of Nantes.
Tu sais qu'il est interdit de pleurer comme ça quand on a 13 ans. La petite Solange. Il y a le monde des enfants et le monde des adultes. J'espère que tu comprends la différence.
14 ans. Donc un jour tu auras 15 ans, 16 ans, 17 ans.
And there, Jade Springer was only 14 when the film was made, and she'd never acted before.
Yes, and she absolutely conveys that divorce is a hard, hard thing for a sensitive girl who still believes that love is permanent. I'm encouraged by the number of truly remarkable performances by children in recent films, in Kenneth Branagh's Belfast and also in Playground from Belgium. That said, the director's switch here from bittersweet comedy to drama isn't completely successful. Robert, by her own admission, is paying tribute to a style of social melodrama that was a staple of French and Italian filmmaking for decades, but has fallen out of favor. So I say be on the lookout for Robert's next film.
Okay, well, out in France this week, English writer-director Joanna Hogg's The Souvenir and The Souvenir Part 2. They're two semi-autobiographical films and star Tilda Swinton's daughter, Honor Swinton-Byrne, as a young woman whose older boyfriend is a posh drug addict. Tell us more.
Well, France has an astonishing track record for championing the work of directors from other countries, often before they're fully appreciated in, say, their native USA or England. And yet, until now, French critics and programmers have missed out on the work of 61-year-old British director Joanna Hogg. The Dinard Film Festival in Brittany, which is devoted to British cinema, highlighted her work a few months ago, and enthusiastic articles in the French press immediately ensued. Now, I've only seen part one. And while I can't say I exactly enjoyed it, it has definitely stuck with me. The title refers to French painter Jean-Honoré Fragonard's canvas of the same name and the director's memory of her own youth as a budding artist. Part one is set in the early 1980s, and Honor Swinton-Byrne plays Julie, a pleasant and accommodating young woman who truly doesn't seem to have any problems involving money.
And in the film, Julie's mum is played by the actress's real mother, Tilda Swinton. We spoke to Honor Swinton-Byrne in Cannes about their on-screen rapport.
It was so much fun. It wasn't awkward or difficult, and we didn't need to find a rhythm. It was interesting. I mean, the relationship between Julie and Rosalind is very, very different to my own one with my mother. You know, we're very affectionate and very sort of open and very sort of touchy with each other, and it was interesting having that distance. But it was really fun. There was never a moment that it felt weirdly unnatural. It was really fun.
Now, in part one, Julie is attending film school, but seems far from obsessed with the film she's soon going to have to shoot with her classmates. She's more interested in her charismatic but maddening boyfriend, Anthony, who manages to combine a respectable career with his heroin habit. Most of us will overlook the flaws in our beloved if we're in love, and if one's first serious relationship happens to be with a well-bred drug addict, well, what can you compare that to if it's your first serious relationship? I kind of wanted to yell at the screen, hey, wise up, this isn't looking good. But the film is unflinching in depicting the inevitable. And in The Souvenir Part 2, which premiered in Cannes last year, Julie asserts herself more as a woman and an artist. Let's take a look.
You have to learn how to take critics
What does it make you feel?
and have to find a way to make things work.
None of us have any idea what's going on.
You have too much faith in me, I always say this.
You doubt yourself, and I won't let you do it. I won't let you do it.
What has changed?
I don't want to show life as it plays out. I want to show life as I imagine it.
And that was from The Souvenir Part 2. Next, it's an event that's been called the Cannes of Short Films. The 44th Clermont-Ferrand Film Festival is underway in the Auvergne region of France. You've been more than 20 times. What makes it so special?
Well, this extraordinary event proves that short films, when they're good, can be unbeatably satisfying, and even if they're short. And I have this dingy 24-year-old T-shirt to demonstrate my devotion to this event. Canadian director Jean-Marc Vallée, who died this past Christmas Day, age 58, gave a master class as part of the festival this time last year. His early short films won top prizes in Clermont-Ferrand in the 1980s, and of course he went on to make Dallas Buyers Club and the series Big Little Lies. Many of the directors who figure among France's leading filmmakers today got their starts in Clermont-Ferrand. Cédric Klapisch, François Ozon, to name but two. The scale of the event is dazzling, and it's a good place to sometimes witness the start of an illustrious career to come.
Okay, Lisa, thank you so much. We're going to leave you with a look at what's on show at the Clermont-Ferrand Film Festival. Remember our website. We're also on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. There's more news coming up on France 24 after this.
The planet is suffering. Climate catastrophe is at our doorstep. Emissions are soaring, species are disappearing. But a mass movement is underway to make things right. Scientists, engineers, politicians, business leaders, and of course, teenagers. And we give them all a voice here on Down to Earth.
A major driving force is the good that we could do at the end of it.
Down to Earth on France 24 and France24.com.